Hello, folks. How are we doing today? I am Lip, and this is actually my first interview stream. We have a couple of recorded ones. Let's fix this a little bit. We have a couple of recorded streams coming in later on. For those of you all who have not followed my channel, I do a lot of video game stuff that I'm going to be streaming every now and again, but I do also have a new show coming up based off of the Call of Cthulhu campaign. It's a very spoopy, scary campaign. Today we are going to meet with one of my very, very close friends. Had a lot of experience talking to him about art, about Spider-Man, about horror movies. He's just one of the people that I go to just kind of feel good about the day. So I wanted to share a little bit of that energy with you all, as well as take a look at some of his art that he has going on. There's some really cool things that is coming from his mind, and so we will have an opportunity to jump into that a little bit. Also, forgive the captions. They are not perfect in a way. But what I will be doing is I'll be signing today a little bit, and then I will also be voicing some of the stuff that we talk about so that we make sure that everybody has equal access in this experience. So, without much further ado, let's switch on over to meet Ross. Let me switch this. There we go. So, first, I just want to know, you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself and what you do? Hello, I am Ross Peter. I'm an artist. I've been going to college and I have a degree in art, specifically in animation, in media arts. So that's the degree's name. After I graduated, I was looking for different jobs within like Disney, DreamWorks, Laka Arts. It's a studio that they have for animation. Anyway, I just felt like I was falling behind a bit. The competition is really, really fierce, and I don't really want to jump into that competition myself. Graduated back in 2015, 2014, 2000, so 15, 20 years ago. Looking for different jobs, I kind of gave up a bit. So I know that's unfortunate that I gave up and kind of stepped out of the world, but I got a normal job as a stalker. So I also work tutoring ASL. Kind of socialize with the college students there, which is nice. I usually keep to myself. I try and keep busy as much as possible. Once in a while, they'll ask me to draw something or design a shirt or maybe sort of like a business card, something simple, little things like that. And I'm usually fine to go ahead and do that for that, just for folks. Yeah. I really enjoy art. It's my deepest passion, and illustration is something that I really love as well. The idea of the imagination. I realized that illustration, as I grew up, watching cartoons and different things like that, there was so many different cartoons, a ton of cartoons. Really, honestly, the list is endless. But yeah, anything can be created from that, your imagination. And there's different countries that I watch, American cartoons. There's different countries, different arts, different styles. But if you apply that to now and you watch a lot of different things, it's just really impressive. So yeah. So for the people who are watching now, you should be able to see a few of the doodles that Ross did himself. Do you want to maybe discuss a little bit about what the art is, or what was the inspiration from that art? So the art that you see in the video, that's from October. We have a every month we tend to have this thing called Inktober. It's a tradition that we kind of keep up every year, and we post every day of the month of October. And so I decided that my own kind of gear, I wanted to switch directions for myself. And so I had a word of the day that I would create an image based off of that word. I use Halloween elements that I include into it, and so you see cartoon styles involved from that. Different famous movies or TV shows, I implemented that as well, and just kind of threw it into a mixing bag to create this piece of work, this art that you are seeing right now. I really am passionate about the spirit and making it kind of light, even though the elements are dark. Yeah, I noticed something that I mentioned before in the introduction is that we really have like enjoyment or passion to watch horror, like you were saying, cartoons, just different kind of concept, comic books as well. So all of those things really, I see that clear. And one of the things I was really very impressed with watching some of Ross's art is seeing how these very kind of dark concepts have this change to be more like, I don't know, like Nick or Cartoon Network kind of like happy humor. And so I really enjoyed that art style myself, and so I wanted you all to experience the same kind of interest. I know that we have a bunch of different like random videos, but I wanted to also keep like the process of drawing. So you all are watching right now. I think this is the swamp monster. Um, oh, the creature from the Black Lagoon. Right. Oh my god, Crumb is gonna kill me. But yeah, some of the art. Is there any one that you have kind of listed that you felt was harder or easier? For your word of the day, was there like a word yourself that you had a hard time drawing, or the concept just didn't match the paper well, or was there one that the word just kind of dropped into your head and you immediately knew I wanted to draw this kind of concept? Really, my struggle with the word of the day is what the word means, trying to really study the concept of the word. Because if I find something and it relates to what my imagination is thinking of, like a TV or movie or whatever those things are, I want to pick and choose different elements of that and kind of jumble together. So the word, most of the time, is the challenge itself. Try and think of what can I apply from my imagination to the word, which is tough. Cool. I to let everyone know. Oh, I have someone saying that the titles are blocking your face. If you all are using Twitch, you should be able to click and move the caption itself. Just want to say hello, Paul. Hello, Elijah. Welcome everyone who's watching. Once again, we are here with Ross Peter. He's an artist. You're seeing some of the doodles that he's doing right now. It is really cool to watch. Also, I wanted to warn everyone, I myself am not an artist. I suck at art. Yes, I have an artist heart. um, but yeah, the with this is a hard question to ask anyone really, but do you remember what is that one moment or that spark or the feeling when it happened? Your like first time that you started drawing or wanted to draw? Do you remember that? Wow, it's a super throwback, all the way back. I was really little. I had to be my brother, my older brother. He was an artist as well. He would draw different kind of horses, and I would be fascinated by that. And I would watch his hand as he drew. He had such a nice kind of flow to his handwork, and that drew me in. So I tried to do the same thing with myself, and I struggled so much. Had to be maybe 4 or 5, and I just struggled trying to match that hand, the hand style that he had. But after a while, I started getting into coloring books, and it's not something I really wanted to do right away, but that's how it happened. Oh, hold on, I have a little bit of network problem. Hold on. For the people on Twitch, can you see us okay? I'm just curious. Also, is the captionings working? I haven't been paying attention to the captions at all. I remember I was testing the captions before and playing a game, and I think one of the words said something like dirty whore or something like that. And I was trying to say horror, but it's like dirty horror. I was like, wow, the captions are very offensive. But, yeah, let me know if there's any problems on YouTube or Twitch. I'll be keeping an eye. Also, if you all have questions that you want to ask them, let me know. I will see. We'll bring it out. I'm gonna just be asking all of the life story questions. I'm curious about. You said that you had an older brother. I also had an older brother. How many people in your family drew or had an artist background? Really, my grandmother was a painter. She used oil acrylic painting. My mom is also the same way. She's an oil acrylic painter. My dad is more of a woodworker. He builds furniture and design. It's more like product design. Oh, carpentry. Gotcha. So he does more carpentry work. So my older brother draws, but he's not really used to the skill of it. It's just more of an hobby for him. He just does it as a throwaway thing. My sister's the same way, so she draws, but it's more of like a throwaway hobby. And so after a while, she kind of gave it up. So they were all talented, and I was like, I don't understand why you guys didn't just dive into it, why you gave up on it. Um, my brother enjoys welding, welding work. Nice. He works on cars and trucks and different things like that, junkyard stuff, taking metal scraps and making designs out of that. But the me and metal, I'm just not that way at all. I think it's really impressive. So you're the same as me. I have a lot of artistic family members. So my mom worked in fine art. My older brother is similar. He did you all, my brain is just falling apart. Product design. So he would be like responsible for designing machines that like look. So he would probably be designing iPhones right now if he continued with that work. But it was the same with him. His skills just kind of meh, and he gave up because I think he felt more like burnt out from the experience of going to college and seeing that competitive world too, and then just kind of shifted into working for money and doing. like store work and things like that. So his focus kind of shifted to something else. Um, but yeah, I have a brother that's the same way. My aunt worked for a magazine company here in Chicago. She would design like the words on the magazine, how the pictures were set up. So I have a lot of artists, friends, family, but like you said, myself, I just watched. I do remember the experience of trying to copy my brother's hand when he's drawing, but it's for his name. I don't know cursive. I don't know how to write in cursive. So my brother has a very specific way of signing his name, and so I tried to copy that. I'm terrible at it. It's so bad. It's really bad. My signature is awful as well. They said it's a terrible, terrible signature. Well, they say the theory that is out there is that if your autograph is terrible, it means you are more creative as an individual. What's really funny is that a long time ago in high school, middle school, I had a perfect, clean structure of writing. I used to try and specify how I wrote each letter, but over time, it just kind of adapted into just this kind of messy kind of handwriting. And my mom, hers is it's just illegible. I can't even understand what she writes. It just goes right over my head. It's funny that after that adaptation of my handwriting, I'm not really sure why that happened. I guess it was just like as I got older, my hand got quicker at writing, or maybe it's just a dueling aspect. It's the same with me. For me, I think it was because my family. I was, for people who don't know, I'm a writer, so I write a lot, and at times I realized growing up that people would read some of my work, so I would write like poetry and different things like that, but people wouldn't understand what I wrote because I was always just like, and I would do this thing where I would wake up in the middle of the night and then just like write, but most of the time I didn't have my glasses on or I wasn't really paying attention to the paper, so I would just kind of like write what's on my head. So by the time that I would give it to somebody to read, they were just like, I don't know what this is. So I tried to copy more of like my parents, my brother, my family, their handwriting because they were writers. Oh, that's my aunt. Hello, Candy. Thank you for sharing. That's the one I was telling you worked at a magazine company. And so her handwriting is cool too. I really liked how they wrote, but I could never really match it. So now I just decided I'm gonna write my own style. Now people can understand it, but it's not pretty or beautiful in any way at all. I understand that. Just curious. You have any good poems? I haven't read any yet. Yes. Ooh. I wasn't thinking that we would have that here today. But I do have, for anyone who's interested, I have a website, and I can post the website and the information that we have. But I have this app or website called Medium, medium.com. I wrote this one kind of like long poem about Stonewall and queer rights. I wrote a lot before, but same as you, I just feel like I got really behind myself in writing. I'm trying to catch up. Obviously, now that we're in kind of like quarantine, it should be easier for us to jump back into our art. So I find myself writing a little bit more. But yeah, I have some. I will give it to you personally, but I myself performing it here on camera is kind of scary. So another question I have for you is: it watching your art now? Do you feel like more nerves, or do you feel like proud when you watch and see that, oh yeah, this is what I drew here and I drew that this time. Yeah, the one that's less that we're watching now. So this one is called the Edgar Allan Poe art. Yeah, that we're looking at now. It's one of my favorite dark poets that are out there. Same actually. The raven is kind of what you see on his hand is the little bird that's going to show up. I'm trying to remember what word was that for, or which day that was connected to. I'm not really sure. It's a poet. I'm not sure, but this one. You see his head's kind of detached off of it right now, and I'm drawing the head and I place it back onto the head. Anyway, I love this now. I love looking at it. I that style you so for a computer artist, they can cut like specific parts of the picture and then edit that and then put it back whenever, right? Do you feel like that makes your art easier or harder from paper drawing? Really, I prefer to look at the picture and see that it's exactly correct to this and that everything is kind of the same. So I usually copy and transfer things from the page to the computer and I get the idea of what the character looks like that way. So when I'm done with the paper work, then I just kind of edit and clean up the work on the computer. It's more of a reference at that point. It's a reference point to what I have, an example of what it could be, and it gives me a little bit of aid in the process. So I don't have to struggle using my head of everything that's there. So whatever the frustrations that I might see in the experience, I can actually see right there and then correct it from my actual sight of seeing it on paper. So the idea of like a metaphor hearing a song or singing, again, you can match it. You can hear a note and hear tunes when you sing, and it helps you sing better. Yeah, trying to understand how I can interpret it. So there's a term for it. It's like sight singing or something like that. When you hear something, you understand it. Yeah, you can understand the note and the tones, and then have the pitch. And when you sing it, you know what pitch and key that is, and you can fix your voice to kind of match that sound. Yeah. I know the opposite because I know that there's the term tone deaf. It's like I just don't know. I don't know how to sing at all. But yeah. Any questions anyone has so far that's out there? Anything that you all want to know? Check and see who we have. Once again, thank you, Paul, for taking a look at things. Let me know how everything should look. Make sure it's all clean. Thank you all for jumping in and watching today. Another question I was going to have for you. It's a hard question too. What is your favorite character? Not one that well, maybe. Yeah, it's just in general. What's your favorite character? It's not exactly a character, really. It's more of a icon. Gotcha. A really, really famous icon. The magazine? Yeah. The guy with the red hair on the cover with the big ears and the big teeth. What is his name? That right there is my favorite character. I forget his name as well. But that's one of my favorite characters. He looks like George Bush. Or George Bush looks like him, really, because yeah, who came first, him or George? Alfred E. Newman. Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much. Alfred E. Newman. That's one of my favorites. I always look at that cover as well, um, and I try to make the books make me laugh a lot, and I got addicted to it, buying it, trying to invest in it, collecting it. Even when I was young, for a very young child, every week or every month that it came out, um, I had to convince my dad to and my mom to kind of go there and buy it for me. And I've collected a lot. How many have you collected? Do you know? How many have you collected? All of it's gone. What happened to all of it? It's really unfortunate because the house that we were in burned, and so I ended up losing a lot of that in the fire. It burned everything. It was really frustrating, but anyway, once in a while, I go and buy the magazines and I read it. I kind of throw it. I don't really keep it anymore. It's not really worth it. Keeping for my own kind of my own sanity. Enjoy it. Okay, I have three or a few that I still keep with me. I think it's two or three. I'm not really sure, but one is Spider-Man. Yes, Muskie Spider-Man. That's another point that we're going to talk about. I know there's a few of my friends who are DC fans, and screw them. But we have other things. But hold on. Paul has a question, and Mama Speakman has a question too. The first one: are some facial expressions harder or more fun to draw than others? I enjoy facial expressions. It's a challenge for sure, yeah, but um, it's hard to try and get the exact look. It doesn't look exactly like I wanted to, and so I had to do some tweaks here and there, just to make sure that it's perfected to the way that I like, to have it to be the right face. It is tricky, but I don't really struggle too much. It's a challenge that I enjoy. I really, really love that challenge. Kind of drawing in. It helps me learn more about the process and how to improve my skill set as well. Cool, cool, cool. Mama Speakman's question. Uh, Other than electronic art, what's your favorite way of drawing? Yeah, I have two. Uh, my iPad that I use and Wacom. It's in the computer of my in the corner of my room. It's pretty big. It's a hot machine. Sometimes it heats up pretty quickly and end up sweating while I'm drawing. The light is also pretty bright, and so I have a blue protection screen lens on my glasses that helps to protect from the screen light. But um, I personally prefer iPad, and I can walk around with it, sit down, do some other things, draw and move around. Um, I can go outside and draw if I really wanted to. Um, I really prefer the iPad. The Waken, uh, that feels more like I'm confined to that corner, and I usually just use that to kind of perfect or edit and clean up the art as much as possible. Try and get down the details as much as possible, and I'll transfer some of my rough drafts to it, and finish it up on that page so it's cleaner. Um, I think specifically she wanted to know also if you didn't have the iPad or the Waco, what's another form you like? I mean, obviously, paper and pen is. I don't really like it. It's messy and dirty. It also is pretty frustrating. Sometimes when you mess up, you have to start completely over, and I don't really like that. If I had to pick anything, it would have to be technology. That's the only way I do it. Okay. If I lose an iPad, I gotta buy another one because I'm gonna get the newest one that's out there as well. I'll buy it all over again. It doesn't matter. She has another question. You get to learning the technique of drawing. Do you have any such? Oh, this is a good question. So, you discussed it a little bit before, but the first question is, how did you get started learning the techniques in drawing? Like, where did your skills come from? The second question is, do you have any suggestions or advice for someone who is starting drawing themselves? I started doing technology-based drawing back in college. I really, really dove in college because the technology itself was moving at a fast rate, and it was really impressive to see some of the work that came from that. You could have different uh, pictures and styles that they drew. In that way, I just kind of slowly worked over time to practice to my style. But that was college is really where I got that inspiration from, and I've been following that technology-based art for a while. I feel like I have to. Really, the world itself is all kind of depending on technology. The idea of iPads can do anything. Everything is technology-based, so focusing on technology in that way. The second question, my advice would say just start drawing. It definitely depends on the person. For me, I would say that just to keep on practicing. Just definitely keep on practicing your work and your craft until you find something that you really have to find that thing that is your it factor. Uh, Really, I recently have been trying to discover it a while myself too. And so I start with animals and different language, playing banana. The idea of playing with a banana. Oh, plant. I have a plantain, and the monkey itself. I was playing with drawing a monkey and watching a monkey kind of peel a banana, and I don't know. I just felt like that was something quirky and weird that I could jump into. That's a little bit interpreting off or strange. I was like, what? Okay. Just to let you all also know, I know Ross from Columbia. So hello to all of our Columbia students, teachers that are out there. Mama Speakman is also a teacher who taught me specifically. But yeah, I work. I worked and I went to school at Columbia for ASL interpreting. Not really interpreting. I was a major for a little bit, and then I went into theater and mixed it all up. I'm a mutt myself. But, yeah, Ross was somebody I work with a lot. We have, well, actually, because you still work there now, right? So you can kind of promote the lab and what it means and what it is. Yeah, I still work there as a tutor in the lab at Columbia College. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead and you can talk a little bit about that. So obviously now with COVID, everything, the school is pretty much isolated to online learning, and so we have different Zoom calls. It's pretty popular in most schools all over the place. Whereas online learning, we have the lab where it's online tutoring as well. Uh, right now, I'm doing a little bit of few tutorings. We took a little bit of break for winter break, but in the spring we will start back again. I think it starts next week or in 2 weeks, but not a big deal. Anyway, yeah, that's what it is. For people who are not aware, can you discuss a little bit about what was so beneficial, at least before, having that room lab set up for the school. Yeah, the college lab. Yeah, having an actual room. What was it set up? What was the purpose for that room before? For students, obviously. Before COVID, yeah. Yeah. So before COVID, we had the lab room. It was three different kind of room setups that we had in the space. It was a hangout room. Um, so we didn't have any computers. It was just a space to socialize and lounge out. It was more of like a lounge area, and we used sign language there. That uh, you couldn't use your voice in that space. Your voice is turned off, and you only use the language of American Sign Language. Um, so if you would speak, you would get punished. They would definitely warn you. Um, but there's another room that we had in that space with computers for each different like small private studios for interviews that you may do, presentations that you may to work on for signing. We had those called like little studios, um, kind of like a sound studio, but really it's just for signing. And so we have four of those in that room, and then on the third room that we have, it's considered the high tech lab. Really, that's for. Sometimes we have class in there. Sometimes we'll share like a tutoring lab session in that space. Really, it's a working multi-purpose room essentially. So that was our big lab. I really enjoy it. I enjoy going there, and I really kind of miss going there too. Sam, it's kind of sad that COVID kind of hit that space really hard because all of us really miss going. There were a lot of socialization that happened there. Yeah, so it's we're kind of stuck at home. Yeah, for me, being a student at that school, and honestly, Ross can kind of add to the story. I graduated from that school ago, and I kind of stay. I was there like all the time, even before. Or I let me back up. When I was my junior year, maybe my junior, sophomore, junior year, I transferred over to theater, and so I wasn't really taking a lot of classes in the ASL department, but I was still just going. And like Ross said, that space was really kind of it was a safe space. There was a lot of times where we would joke and laugh, talk about anything at all. And it's also good for practice as well. Mama Ross says, I have the original art of Ross that I have asked him to do for me. I'm curious to know what is easier for you to create, a requested work or work of your own. So the first one I drew for CJ was a while ago. It was at the Art Institute, I believe. The blonde girl with the peace earring, the Viking. I drew a Viking for her. Yes, I think that's right. That was a while ago. Yes, she said yes. The Viking woman. Um, she didn't charge. I didn't charge her, but my fee was just a T-shirt for her to give me in exchange for it. But in that, the work people, the one where I'm doing my own is definitely my own style is easier for me to do. I have experience with client and commission work. I'm fine with it. I think I can match other people's kind of ideas behind it. Um, but it does kind of limit me. So it puts my creative juices on hold. I can't really express myself. I kind of put that on a back burner so I can focus on that client's work and what they prefer, which is to make sure that it's satisfactory for them, which I'm willing to do. And then I check in with them to make sure that's right, make sure the client has everything that they requested for it. And so it's a challenge. I do have limitations in that regard, but with my own kind of freestyling creativity, I can flow and pour myself into it a little bit easier, and so my mind can kind of go into it a lot more in that regard. She also says, so the shirt is the beach palooza shirt that, and then she said the Care Bears. Yeah, so I that's the one I dropped the ball on. So also, hello CJ. It's nice to see you. It's nice to read you. But yeah, I'm happy to see some of you all kind of jump in and show up. Um, Feel free to continue asking more. I also added for you all to know as well. Ross has his Venmo. Is that right? Set up. Yeah. So his Venmo information. If you look above his head, he has a little tag. Um, Feel free to donate what you can. Always support the artist, you guys. Some of the how do I gotta do this? Some of the work you see is pretty phenomenal. Yeah, I love watching it so much. I get so like enthralled with it. Um, Before we get too far away, I promised myself and you that we would talk about the one thing that I think immediately connected us as like good friends. Um, so you like Spider-Man. um, so I curious for you as an artist, what draws you in about Spider-Man himself? So it's funny, Spider-Man was a little bit before the Mad Magazine era, before that time. And so that comic book era, my older brother, was collecting that, and my nosy self would go in and kind of sneak in and read it every now and again, and then kind of try and tuck it back in. But the first real character that I started looking at myself was Captain America because of that shield. It was so neatly kind of round in how it was set up. Um, Another guy who had a motorcycle. Yeah, Evil Knievel. Yeah. He had the clothes that looked similar to that, with this kind of pointy triangular shape. And so I got on my bike with that shield. A pot lid, a trash can lid that has a little handle on it. And I just kind of set that on, and I was riding my bike in that way, zooming down the streets. And I grew up in a farm area. I would go through that area through the trees and the woods, and kind of really honestly, it was just like an open field that was there's nobody there. It was kind of dead lands area, just kind of plain fields, and I don't know if there was somebody chasing me or anything like that. There was some ghost in the area, something like that. I kind of created an imaginary kind of world in that way. Um, Somehow Spider-Man started coming up for me in magazines. I started seeing that, and really enjoying that spider logo on him. And because I grew up on a farm, there's many spiders, so many different types of spiders. Uh, oh, the garden spider. It's black and yellow with all of these kind of long, spiny legs. It's really fast. Sorry. Spiders give me the creeps. Their webbing, um, their web, if you walk into it, it's more buoyant than others, so you can see it. And I was really fascinated by the reflective kind of bounciness of that web. So the oh, in the suburbs, the weaver, in that way, kind of like that knitting of it, is really cool. How spiders kind of weave that together. Um, but anyway, that kind of branding was really fascinating to me. So somehow I've been fascinated by his kind of look and his brand for a while, and so I really deeply fell in love with Spider-Man, like really fell in love with him. The more that I kind of got into the story of how he got bit, and so I thought that maybe it could actually happen that if I got bit by a spider, maybe I would turn to a Spider-Man. Um, so I did get a tarantula when I was 7. Really, oh my God, I was collecting little spiders and as pets. It's funny. I'm like, yeah, we both really love Spider-Man, and then you're like, yeah, I have a real spider pet, and I'm like, I'm not that big of a fan. But yeah, that's really cool. How long did you have those spiders as pets? Until the did the spiders die in the fire? Oh, they lived in the basement. Okay, okay. But yeah, they got stuck. You don't know what happened to them. It's not really sure what happened. They may have died because of the collapsing, or maybe they escaped and fled somewhere. Wow, that's wild. I also remember, this is another kind of throwback, but I remember you had for so our school would have these tutoring story times basically, and it's when tutors would tell, kind of like have a concept to teach like colors or phrases, different things like that. I remember the first time I took a tutor workshop with you, you had so many different like stories about like your college years, you diving into your history, things like that. You have, even from now, you have a very like interesting life. You've seen a lot. Have you ever thought about maybe like, the I'm not sure if you've read, but there's this book called no Fun Home. Now it's like musical, I think, but Fun Home is a book about this woman and her growing up with her. She's becoming a lesbian herself, and her father came out as gay at the same time. And so it was the experience of that story through comic art. And so I was fascinated because the style that she draws, similar to like, sometimes we have imaginary ways of describing things that happen in our lives. So she has some cool kind of like cartoon setups for her life, even though it's really what happened. But I'm wondering for you, for like, I could set up art and kind of tell my story. Yeah, I thought about trying to create a comic book to tell a story about my life. I thought about it, but only one person to draw but myself, and that's a lot of work for somebody to do. Um, Really, you need a team of people to kind of help you create design and draw that work. I prefer that myself. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, I'm alone in that regard. Maybe my new project, the tarot cards that I'm designing, um, that's one of the ways of kind of telling my story in a way. Yeah, my personal experiences implementing it into the art and kind of tweaking it in that way. Yeah, I it's a good kind of transition. I'm gonna change the art so you all can see some of his newest art that we have right now. Let's take a look. So, maybe describe a little bit about this project now. So this what you're looking at, the project that you're seeing, the design is a tarot card based art. I don't know anything about tarot myself. I'm not really aware of it. So that's why I've been asking Philip to work with me to help me kind of as a team to decide what do these cards kind of mean. So this is the Fool card. I prefer you to explain the full card. I could talk about the drawing, but the explanation of it. So yeah, the what's been happening is that Ross kind of came to me and said he was interested in designing his own kind of deck of tarot, and he was asking me different questions about like what does it mean? I have these ideas, but can we match them with the concept of the card? For me, this one really kind of communicated to both of us at the same time. The Fool card really discusses this idea of free spirit, kind of moving about without worry or concern that like you have responsibilities, you have problems, you just go with the flow in that way. And so I gave that concept to Ross and told him that what's interesting about tarot is that you can really create your own style. You can make your own art. You can envision your style of art your own way. So there's some traditional things that the Fool card has, which is typically a hitchhiker kind of janitor, no, hitchhiker does himself, just kind of freely moving about. Typically has the stick with the like bag kind of tied, and then there's a dog that follows him. Each one has their own kind of representation, but I'll I'll go ahead and let Ross describe this specific interpretation of the art. So, from my perspective, the vision is really an outer worldly thing. I don't really want to do earthly tarot. I want to do this idea of galactic and spatial things like Mars and Jupiter having life there, real life experiences there. We're not really sure what's out there, so I wanted to create this whole world out in that area. And so this idea of this person is just kind of passing by different types of alien type of life forms. And so I created and imagined this world. What would it look like up there? Would it be similar to here on Earth? Would it be different? Not really sure. So I created a style. And so what you're seeing is this train being drawn in. It seems like it's similar to a style here in Chicago, the CTA trains that kind of pass by. So there's this character kind of walking freely on his phone, not really paying attention. That tends to be the culture nowadays. It's really unfortunate that we just spend most of our time just like stuck in technology, not paying attention to the world around us, which is dangerous. And so the Fool card I created was this idea of somebody who's walking kind of blindly into the way of a train, and would potentially fall over. The dog itself, I kind of changed up the idea. I wanted to make it a giant ant. It tends to be it's smart. Ants are typically smart creatures. They know directions no matter where they are. And so I studied to learn a little bit more about ants and thought, oh, if they have a sense of awareness and knowing what's going on, it would be really interesting to help the fool kind of, no, 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 don't go this way. No, don't go that way. And the fool just kind of carelessly continually looking at his phone. Um, so the box in the back that you see there, that is a floating suitcase. So, you know, like the traveling suitcase that you have wherever you go, with the little wheels. Typically, we have them with the little arm. If you're in space, maybe you won't need the wheels. You don't need to pull anything. So it just kind of follows behind you with them, some sort of tracking GPS tracking system connected to you, which I think is pretty cool. So if it follows you, then that is your travel case, essentially. The alien having the third eye was something I wanted to play with as well. Having the little pincers idea for the ant. There's no moon in the sky. That's actually Uranus. It is the planet with the rings on the outside. It's related to the full card itself, because Uranus, different cards have connections to the planets, and so Uranus is connected to the full card. So in the corners, you should see this small little pin design. I kind of zoom in a little bit on it. But right in that area, you can kind of see that if you flip it over, it pins down a place, but if you turn it upside down, it doesn't have a place to pin. It's just kind of lost. It's just going up into outer space. And then there's another corner. Hold on, I'm going to move the... there we go. Yeah. So we have to let it play a little bit more. But yeah, it's... yeah. The other corner in that area that you'll see later on, those are bars. It's like cellular bars. Your Wi-Fi or so, the signal strength and things like that. It goes up when you're looking at it directly on, showing that you have a strong path wherever you're going, which is good. It's positive. It's going up. But if you flip it upside down, which is typically the negative part of the tarot, the strength goes down. It's showing that there's a decrease in strength as you kind of move forward. Yeah, it's a really cool idea, and I like how the style can be very creative. I know my aunt and a few other people who are maybe watching know that tarot is something that they're interested in also. And it's so funny. I was recently discussing tarot with different people, and we were talking about how there's so many different ways you can interpret art on tarot, and what does that mean for your own style. So we were talking about Ross having his own story, his own perspective added to the tarot, and I feel like that's a really, really cool experience someone can have, to have Ross's experience of... I should have given more context, but Ross's experience of the hero's journey. One thing that we connected with talking about a lot was the hero's journey and what that means. A lot of the cards, for people who don't know, tarot has a link to the universal story. We're all experiencing a very same shared awareness of the story. And the cards kind of represent different characters of that story. So the fool, or death, or the best friend, the old wise man, they all have connections in that story. So when he kind of picked the fool, and I think you also have like death as a decision that you kind of drew as well. Those few, it's been really fascinating to watch the process happen. I'm also just watching this now and seeing the final card done. It's pretty cool. 78 cards, yeah. So there's 78 cards in the tarot. One that we kind of decided to kind of follow is the traditional set for now. We do know that some people tend to remove cards. Some people kind of merge the concept of cards. It's all kind of vague, but that's also something interesting because you had said before, you had mentioned you were also designing playing cards, right? Oh, I'll hold that. We're not going to talk about that. That's gone. It's out of here. But it's just focused on the tarot cards for right now. I really dove into this concept of the tarot cards, and it's become kind of a passion project for me. It set a fire in me to kind of just draw and create. Last night I drew until 1 in the morning, and so I was like, okay, I should probably take a break and go to sleep. But yeah, that it's cool. It's really cool to experience. It's really nice to kind of focus on my drawing and kind of put work aside, skip work for now, and just work on your art and kind of stay at home and work on that process. It's been great. I'm happy that you've been diving into it. This has been something I've been helping myself to. One thing that me and Ross decided together is that for me, this stream is really me just diving back into the work that I created, and I'm interpreting a little bit more now and practicing in that way. I'm creating more stories. I am writing more now as well. But this is a good experience for us to kind of just jump back in and see what we can create and what we can make. So I'm happy for you, happy for myself. This is going to be a good process. I want to thank you because you 2 weeks ago you were discussing something about the tarots on online on Facebook. I just took a look and read it, and I didn't know anything about it, and so the process kind of spiraled from there and just kind of helped with that inspiration. It was just a slow thinking and a seed that was kind of dropped into my mind. And if I designed my own tarot, what could have happened from there? And so that's when I kind of contacted you. So thank you for that. Thank you. I feel very good about this. Yes. So if you had never said anything, I would have never have gotten this process started. So I would be stuck with my playing card idea, creating the kings and the queens in that process. So yeah, but this is more an explosive kind of creativity idea. So thank you for helping me, and thank you as well. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for joining me today. I know right now we're like an hour and a half. We could probably chat forever, but any last statements anyone wants to make? I want to thank everyone for joining in on the chat. Thank you, Mama Speakman. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Elijah. I know you were there, and my aunt Candy. Thank you for there. But yeah, any last things you want to say before we kind of end it here? Definitely keep an eye out for Ross. I'll try and have you back again, and maybe we'll do like yeah. I do have something. The next word. What is the next word card that we should do? I will. If there's anyone in the chat, let me know what you think. My personal opinion is that I think he should do the tower next. That's the one thing I'm thinking should be next is the tower, because that's one of my. I know that it's typically a negative card, but it's just such a cool picture. It's a cool art. The idea of like destruction outside of this building. So that. Any other ideas for any of you all that you think? Oh, my aunt Candy says, "I love your work. It was awesome to watch." Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Love you for your work, for your comments. Yeah, but I do think that Devil is a good one. Tower, the Lovers, yeah. Candy says the fool card that you created is one of my favorites. It's like that touches me. So thank you so much. So yeah, thank you all again. I'll try and continue having more of these kind of interviews, more sit downs. I'm a big fan of your work, Ross. Please continue doing this. If you all can, please support Ross with the money. Venmo right up there. Give him a pay. Give him some love. My cousin Kara also loves it, so thank you for that too. But yeah, definitely show support if you see any of the more cards. I'm gonna try and do my best to help him get the deck finished and then sold. There, I don't want to say too much, but there may be some other things he may be selling in the future, maybe. So I may be printing shirts for people. If you are interested, if you like a card and the way it's designed, I can go ahead and print it onto a shirt and send it to you if you want to kind of wear it as a nice little style shirt. So it's one of my other ideas as well. So yes, definitely support. I will post more information on my website to let you guys know what's out there. But thank you, Ross, and I'm happy. I'm really, really happy to see you. I'm happy to be working with you, and I'm excited to see what's next. Okay, thank you all, and we'll see you signing off.